Good afternoon, it's Lindsay. It's December 25th, Christmas Day, 2023. And I just wanted to do a video about narcissistic individuals and how they are demanding, how they are condescending, how they are pushy, aggressive, manipulative, and how they lie and how they exploit people and especially when you tell them no. They don't like the word no. They can't stand being, told the word no because it really, they feel so entitled to people that whenever you tell them no, they act out and they pout like children, and they literally, you see a side of them that is extremely, just crazy. Um, and so with me being that I'm a targeted individual, and that I've experienced a lot of narcissistic abuse throughout my life, I know a lot about this, and I know about their behavior patterns. And what they do is they'll see that somebody might be in a vulnerable position, um, emotionally, maybe financially, and they'll take advantage of that. They'll try to take advantage of you. They'll fake their way into your life. They will play like they are your friend. They will, love bomb you in a way, but then it's all fake. Obviously, these people basically have a script, and then they weasel their way into your life only to set you up for humiliation and rejection and the discard. And so all these things throughout this relationship because all the red flags are right there in front of you. And so you kind of just go along with it sometimes. Like what I do is I'll just go along with it, but I already know the outcome. I've already predicted the outcome in my mind, because you know that you're not compatible with certain individuals just because of how they are and how they behave and how they treat you. Like one thing that you'll know about if a person is using you or only taking advantage of you, what they'll do. This is an example for sure, and you'll know you're dealing with a narcissist is when if they only want to see you in private, like if they don't ever want to be out in public with you, they only want to see you behind closed doors on their schedule, and it's always something that they want from you physically. You know, it's nothing but a transactional relationship. Then you know that that person is a toxic narcissist and that they don't give a shit about you. They don't care about your feelings. It's about you giving in to what they need, no matter what you sacrifices you might make, because you're supposed to always be there for them, no matter what. That's how they feel, at least. And so you'll find yourself eventually caught in a trap of a web of abuse, of psychological manipulative abuse, where they are coming over to visit you, spending time with you, taking up your time, basically taking up your energy, not having any respect for your boundaries, inviting themselves over or coming over unannounced and things like this because they are demanding and they want something from you. And then, they size you up. They'll start comparing you subtly to other women. Like in my case, I'm talking about a certain individual, a male, who, what they'll do is because they have so much rejection in their past, or they have so many insecurities that they don't know how to deal with it, they will project these things onto the victim. And with me, I tend to be a magnet for these kinds of men they are the types of men who have a lot of bottled up anger and emotions, and they see me as being somebody that they can just kind of let it all out on, or somebody who's going to be their punching bag, because I'm understanding, I'm patient, and I listen, and I have a lot of insight and a lot of experience. But they take advantage of that, and then they start abusing me, trying to, at least psychologically. And I feel you feel what they're doing, what they're doing, and it's happening right in front of you, and you're just kind of like thinking to yourself, well, I don't even know how to react to this, or there's nothing more I can do, because I see clearly the signs that this person is a very, very narcissistic, manipulative person who's abusive, and you just kind of almost go into, it's almost like your mind goes into a paralysis or a shock, because a part of you wants to believe that, this person is interested. They have my best interests in mind. They're not bad. But no, whenever you get these kinds of feelings about a person, after spending time with them and having conversations with them, you will know, because your intuition doesn't lie. Your intuition is there to warn you and to help you through these kinds of situations, which are also often very awkward, extremely um, uncomfortable. Awkward, uncomfortable, kind of the same word. They're very strange. Needless to say, it's like a situation where they'll catch you off guard. They'll get you to talk about things that you don't really want to talk about, and that's a way that they try to capture you in speech, or capture. It's like if that's not the right word, they're trying to entrap you almost, or gather information about you so that they can use it against you at a time when the shit hits a fan. Cliche as that sounds, so to speak, when things start getting bad in that transaction, whatever the relationship is, because eventually it's gonna go down south. It's not gonna go well, because these people have a pattern. They have a pattern of abusing. When it comes to narcissistic men, they're usually borderline or undiagnosed some kind of mental illness, which they can't deal with because they're too arrogant and proud to actually confront or admit that they might have a mental illness or a mood disorder. They're too arrogant to admit that maybe they suffer from depression or bipolar or some kind of mental illness, right? I mean, a lot of us do. And I'm open about the fact that I've been diagnosed in the past with bipolar, and I have severe anxiety and chronic depression, and other things like the autism, which I have not been diagnosed with, but I think that that's probably what I really suffer from, mostly, more than anything, because I'm antisocial. I don't like large groups of people. I tend to be more quiet and observant, to feel things out, and I just feel more comfortable being in my own world. Yet there are some individuals who I feel more comfortable around as opposed to others, and that's just how I've always been. I try to guard myself. I'm always on the guard, and I have a lot of paranoia as well, because of my experiences of things that have happened to me, and how certain people have deceived me and lied to me and tried to physically hurt me. And so I don't trust people until I really get to know them. I just don't trust anybody. Yet one of my faults is that I will let them into my life. I'll let them into my home. I'll let them get really close to me. And then they start to know all these things about me that I don't, and it's like, wow, I need to, it's something that I do. It's something, because I'm such an open person. I'm such an open-minded person, that I'm so honest. I'm honest to a fault. And this is something that most people will see that quality in somebody, and they'll take advantage of that and exploit that. And they exploit it in ways that could be sexual, financial, other things that they'll do to try to exploit your weaknesses or your kindness. They might take your kindness for being a weakness. Okay, so and I know, because I have had I'm not trying to sound grandiose, but or brag about myself, but I certainly have had my share of experiences with these types of people, who they're just control freaks. You're going to find that the people who fit this category of cluster B personality, or narcissistic borderline type personality, or bipolar, moody, they have mood disorders, or they project, they do a lot of projection. They have a lot of insecurities about their body. They have a lot of insecurities about their anatomy, and they're constantly trying to say things like, well, am I, they have such insecurities about things like this, that they will say things like, well, is it okay? you get what I'm trying to say. If you're a female and you've been with a man like this, they have major what seems to be insecurities about their, in their anatomy, certain parts, and they will start to get really they're possessive. They might not show it like in public or act that way, but they're extremely jealous and possessive and demanding, controlling, and it's because they suffer from severe insecurities from neglect from childhood. A lot of it is because they have childhood neglect, father issues, mother issues. Usually, in my situation, the men are close with their mothers, but they don't have a father figure around, or the father was absentee or just basically abandoned the person, the guy, the man, and so therefore he has a lot of built up hostility and anger about it, but he doesn't want to talk about it, and he gets angry when you do talk about it with him, or he'll, you can tell that he's frustrated when you're just trying to help him or trying to get it, trying to get to know him better. And when you're, it's like they clearly have so much internal pain, which is understandable. Anybody who's been neglected by a parent for whatever reason, from alcoholism, or the parent was a drug abuser, or whatever reason, a lot of adult kids of these types of upbringings suffer from severe abandonment issues, anxiety, depression, all kinds of mental disorders, bipolar, PTSD, depression, mostly because you have a lot of insecurities, and you have a lot of abandonment issues, probably, and feeling neglect, and you have trust issues. Usually is the case with adult children of alcoholics, or people who've been abandoned by their own parents and whatnot. It's very common, and it's not your fault if that's something that you're going through, or that you've survived, because it's always going to be the fault of the parent who did that, no matter what. Because the way I see it is, it's their negligence. They shouldn't have had a child if they're not going to be there for the kid, or raise a kid, or whatever, support that child all throughout that child's life. It doesn't matter if the child's an adult, you're still the parent, and that's your responsibility. If you don't want to have that responsibility, then you shouldn't bring a child into this world. You should either call me a bitch, but either get an abortion, get on birth control, or don't have kids, or be celibate. Because you can't do that. A child is a human being is not an object, a toy. People are going to have emotions no matter what, even if you're in something that you might think is like that you and your partner think is some kind of a friends with benefits, which I hate that silly thing that everybody does nowadays, because people are so non-committal, and they cheat, and they don't want to commit. So we have this friends with benefits thing that's a big thing, right? If you're single and you don't want to commit and you just want sex, then okay, let me hook up and have a friends with benefit. But I'm going to act like a boyfriend. I'm going to treat this person, but I'm only going to it's only going to be a one-sided thing, because I'm here to get my needs met. And if that person is not going to comply to my demands and my needs, then that's it. I'm going to discard that person. I'm going to probably do a smear campaign, and I'm going to slander them, and I'm going to hate them. That's a typical mentality of these narcissistic individuals who want a friends with benefits type situation, where you, on the receiving end, are getting nothing out of it, or on the other, you as the one who is their, I guess you could say, their project or their victim of this shit, you're not getting anything out of it. You find yourself empty. You find after you've been with that person for a bit, maybe you spent time with them, maybe you did something, whatever, intimate with them, but you realize that you feel, after it's all said and done, you feel empty. You feel like a big void. You feel humiliated. You feel insulted. You feel degraded. You feel cheap. You feel disgusting. You feel, all these words that I could use to describe how these individuals make you feel, because it's a one-sided transaction, and it's something that they're getting something out of it because they're happy and you're pleasing them, obviously, in a sort of an intimate way. But what are you getting out of it except feeling bad about yourself, feeling insulted and degraded and like shit, like cheap shit? And that's exactly what these narcissistic people are doing, because with narcissistic people, they don't have relationships. You'll notice that they don't know how to form any long-term relationships with people that have any significance. They can't. It's not possible because they don't understand how human emotions work. They seem to just be so completely disrespectful about other people's feelings, and that they just couldn't care less. It's always about them. It's always about, what can you do for me? How are you going to please me? And then if you say no, they act out, and then they get mad, and they do bad things to you to punish you, to let you know that they're angry. And they act like children. They act like adult, adolescent. They act like Arrested Development adults who don't get their way and pout like little children when mommy says no and take the cookie away or whatever. That's how they behave. They're like little children who throw a hissy fit. And you're going to find, or at least what I have found with these individuals, and I'm talking about men because I'm a heterosexual, they always, I have to say that 9 out of 10 times of these situation shits or relation shits, the transactions that I've been involved with, and I can laugh about it now because I've grown quite a thick skin to this. I'm so immune to it that I already know what the outcome's going to be. It's like you develop a sixth sense, a third eye that's so open to this that you know what's in store. You already can predict it. But I find it quite amusing because 9 out of 10 times that I've been involved with these kinds of men, 9 out of 10 times I have to say they have some kind of toxic relationship with their father figure, or some kind of neglect from the father. The father was not there, or maybe it's the mother sometimes, but usually it's the father. And I have to say that's like 9 out of 10 times with these men I've been involved with. And most of these men are on dating sites. You're going to find them on all these dating sites. If you're single and you're looking to meet new friends or date, or maybe, God forbid, you're looking for a serious relationship, which you're not going to find that on it. I mean, most people nowadays, especially after a certain age, that's really hard to find. And that's like, kind of like, searching for fool's gold, okay? Or gold with fool's gold. Whatever I'm trying to say. That sounds crazy, but if you get what I'm saying, it's like they can't form any kind of meaningful anything with you because they are so used to being hurt and rejected that they want to hurt you. They really do. These people seem to have they want to hurt you. Keep in mind that if you know that the person you are involved with, whatever the relationship is, work partner, work spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, friends with benefits, co-worker, whatever, just keep in a sibling. Sometimes siblings are very abusive and controlling, but without the intimacy part there, let's leave that out of that equation. But unless you have an incestuous relationship with your sibling, but let's not go there because thank God that's something that I don't have anything experience with, and I don't ever want to, and thank God I don't have that problem. But a lot of people do, which I could touch on another topic, how there's a lot of individuals out there who have these kind of covert incestuous or relationships with their mother, with their sibling, with a cousin, with their parent or father. That seems to be common too. It's very hush hush, but it is common. Yeah, because another person I was involved with on a friendship level, nothing intimate with that person because I wouldn't allow it to happen, and he was such a narcissistic, control freak, jackass, mean, violent that he had a lot of incestuous issues going on in his family background that he told me about, but I don't want to talk about that right now. But I have really like talked to so many men and been around so many people throughout my life with all this experience that I have that I could go on and on about this topic or these topics, you know, because it's such a and nowadays with all the prevalent, societal narcissism going on, it's like everybody's got an agenda. People are angry, people are rejected, people feel, neglected. They don't want they're non-committal. They just want satisfaction, the here and the now. They're very egotistical, they're very superficial. And it's just like, okay, fuck it, which a lot of people in that case, it's like, why not just be alone? It's sometimes being alone as opposed to in a rotten, bad uh, relationship is a lot better than enduring that kind of abuse from somebody who's demanding your attention, your energy, because inevitably at the end of the day, with these people, you're going to feel drained and taken advantage of. At least that's in my case. They take their energy vampires. They hate what you do. They don't want to. They start competing with you. They start comparing you to other women. They size you up. They do subtle insults all the time. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. It's worth it if you really want. If you're a female or a male out there who's alone and you're in your 40s or whatever, 30, I don't care how old you are, it doesn't matter. But if you really find yourself desiring compatibility and desiring to be with somebody, just my advice is really take your time, get to know the person, and that's going to end up being a problem because they're very, very need now. They want it now, Take your time, be discerning, use your best judgment and listen to, really try to listen to your inner intuition and your voice, because that's your soul talking to you, that's your voice. And it's like a higher power is trying to warn you or guide you maybe, but I would really don't ignore all those red flags if you see them and feel them right there. Really pay attention and don't let yourself get emotionally entwined with somebody who's going to break your heart. If you're an empathic person or prone to emotions, don't let these people do this to you because it can lead to devastating effects and impact on your life if you let it, if you allow it. And I don't mean to say that because a lot of the times we find ourselves in these situations where it's not really your fault. You were taken advantage of, you were lied to, you were love bombed, or you were, the person was so flattering and whatever. And how could you help yourself? It's like this, but it's too good to be true, right? Or some of these things are just, in your mind. Use your mind and not your heart when it comes to these types of things because you need to protect yourself. You really do. If you don't want to get hurt, or maybe even sometimes it'll ruin your health. You'll have bad health impacts. Your health will deteriorate because you're spending all this energy and time trying to focus on their needs and you're neglecting yourself. Mm-hmm. These types of things are a big no-no because I've been there and I've done that and I've learned. Just have confidence in yourself and the right thing will come along. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, you'll know. And just get away, walk away. That's it. Walk away.